is going to be mobile. But this is going to be a preliminary training, scientific training, on the big four of the Avengers. It's what you're going to need to know if you're going to be SHIELD level operatives. Now, we are very happy to have scientific advisors from SHIELD here. My name is Phil Plait. I'll be your host. You may know me from Slate.com, where I write at the Bad Astronomy blog. That's why I was tapped by Dr. Selvig to actually work on the science of Avengers.
Routines and turning them on properly. And then the other thing was finding the tools for that. So right now there's a lot of actually very interesting tools that have been developed in the last year and a half that I guess you can call them genome editing tools, where you can find epigenetic, you can use, so every given gene produces a message, and that message creates some sort of protein that has a function. And what you can do is you can use that same message to backtrack its way to your DNA and use it to read your DNA or actually change it and modify it. So what we figured is we use some of these genome editing tools, find the right genes, turn them on using this reverse engineered message, and build upon that. So that's one half, finding the right genes, turning them on with the right tools. Things can always go wrong. So when it comes to gamma radiation, it wouldn't have been my first choice in figuring it out. But what we do know about gamma radiation, perhaps we found out a bit too late, is that it creates ionizing radiation that actually can break up your DNA. So everyone's very familiar with this double-stranded helix of DNA that Watson and Crick figured out. So when you hit it with gamma radiation, you actually cause these double-stranded breaks that pretty much takes your genes and kind of shatters it. So if you imagine your entire genome across your entire body as this glass vase, Bruce Banner kind of just dropped it on the ground and shattered it to many pieces. And then when you have many, many different pieces, you have to put it all back together. And when you put it back together, you're likely to make a lot of mistakes. So Bruce Banner was very lucky in how things worked out for him, because I guess he took his own variation of the super soldier serum, and then he got this reassembling of his genome in a way that pretty much hid his constitution as the Hulk and mastered it. And I guess the really interesting thing is that he can turn it on and turn it off at will. So I mean, the fact that it's so difficult, you can kind of see it, because somebody could try to repeat it and turn out like the Abomination or something like that. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Those experiments didn't go very well either, unfortunately. More dense than a white quark. And if you had a piece of it this big, it should basically outmass the entire number of cars in the United States. Imagine taking every car from California to the East Coast and compressing it into the size of Thor's hammer. And the problem is it seems to be variable.
That was why when we have these discussions, that's why it always ends up in fights. Right. Because if the hammer was made of degenerate matter in some form, it should have a gravitational signature that we can measure.
It should also fall through the surface of the Earth.
That's true.
Right? You can float a cork on water because it's less dense than water. If you take a chunk of iron, it'll sink. And the hammer is millions of times denser than the surface of the Earth.
Which is why, and that's why we don't think some of us don't think that it's a thank you. Some of us don't think that it's a gravitational issue, that it's actually a bonding issue on an atomic level.
Your fundamental force,
that it's not gravity. But then again, if they're able to, if the Asgardians are unifying the forces in some way, if they're able to move through them, cycle through what, pick the flavor of the fundamental forces they want, they can do almost anything, and of course it seems like magic to us.
The bottom line is we don't know.
I've had my own pet theories. We have a lot of pets going around the lab. I was thinking it was some sort of force field encasing a neutronic superfluid. It's a neutronium, of a neutron star material. And as he spins it, that will actually set up a flow of this of current of this material, and that could actually generate a fierce magnetic field, which would attract lightning. But I can't get close enough.
Wonderful hypothesis. Come up with a way to test it.
Yeah, and test it.
That's all it is.
And we can't seem to call for when we need him to come and lift it for us. So, unfortunately, we have to study from afar.